So week 1 of the Regression Cup has finished, and as expected, Ishizu Tearlament was able to win, although there was a little bit of shenanigans going on in Top Cut, as Zodiac should have actually beaten Ishizu Tier in the top 4 match, but then they didn't know that they already had game with time. They activated Soul Charge, lowered their life points, could not attack, and then lost when they were already in time. So it was the biggest throw I've ever seen. So a little bit of tomfoolery going on there, but still, I'm not going to hit Zodiac for that reason. It's pretty obvious that even if Zodiac did win, the strongest deck that was there was a Shizu Tearlament. Like, let's not cap. Let's not, you know, pretend like it wasn't the strongest deck there. And the reason it took me about a week to really figure out what I wanted to do to kind of limit that deck was, how did I want to hit a Shizu Tier? Because as you guys may know, for the Regression Cup, we don't do any limits, we don't do any semi-limits, we're just banning cards outright. You're either banned or you're completely legal. And so I didn't want to take the route of the OCG, the TCG, and what Master Duel has already done, you know, before, you know, with Tearlament, how they've decided to handle it, because they go after some of the names, which, yeah, that is a good way to kind of limit the power of Tearlament, but I wanted to see what Tearlament would still be capable of doing and how far they could really go if they have all the names, but maybe they just don't have some of the powerful add-ons, which we're beating around the bush. We're hitting the Ishizu cards, we're taking them all out back and destroying them, and as you can also see, there's another Earth card over there that I will cover in just a second on why we're actually hitting that. But removing the Ishizu cards, I believe removing the mill 5s is going to be very impactful. It's going to cut down on the consistency a little bit, but not really kill the deck at all whatsoever. I mean, you can still mill 8 feel great with Kit, Kalos, and Merly. Like, it's still absolutely fine. You're going to be able to find your pieces. You know, normal summon Rhino hard to still mill any single tier name that you need. You know, Merly still mills 3 on 3 on her own. You know, Sharon does 3. So it's like, you're going to be fine. You know, having it still allows you to also play on your opponent's turn as a hand trap. You're going to be fine. But removing the mill 5s does, you know, maybe you're not going to hit a snow as often. You know, it also removes the ability to really play Orange Light in the deck at all, because, you know, Orange Light to negate a monster effect and then mill 5 or put a shuffler in the graveyard is just ridiculous. Like, that was one of the game-winning things that we saw in a VW match. Somebody brought VW to try to use VFD to maybe just win the game against the Tearlament players, but the funny thing was, a lot of the Tearlament players were able to outlast the activations of VFD just because they have enough of a grind game. One of those was a little sussy on the VW players' part, but they self-admitted that they probably should have played the game a little bit better. But still, I did see them play through VFD almost a couple of times, which is insane when you consider that VFD is a boss monster that essentially just says, you win the game, right? So that was absolutely crazy. Stupid nuts. But again, they also have other effects, like, for instance, Keldo being a bounce for special summon monsters is insane. You know, like, Agito doesn't really do a whole lot, but this guy also being able to bounce a guy on top of also being a mill 5 if he's milled or sent with Orange Light is just ridiculous. And then the shufflers I always found particularly more annoying than the millers, because sure, the millers you get more consistency, but I hate having my graveyard messed around with. You know, if I'm playing Phantom Knight, if I'm playing Drytron, if I'm playing VW like the other guy was, and you know, it's activate Lulu, and they're like, okay, chain Orange Light, send Mudora, and then it's like, well, not only did I get my my Lulu negated, but now I'm also gonna have all my stuff in my graveyard shuffled back into the deck, or they could re-put back stuff in their deck to kind of avoid, say, a tier name being called by it, or like DD Crowed or Bestialed or something along those lines. So yeah, we're definitely gonna have to get rid of the the Ishizu names over here, because I think just with these, Tearlament is by and large the strongest deck that we have. And so I'm really going to be curious to see what Tearlament is going to be able to do, especially because we just also got all the Vanadium stuff, all the Super Heavy Samurai stuff over here on Master Duel. And as of right now, that stuff is all legal. As I said in the first episode, when something drops on Master Duel, it doesn't matter if they preemptively ban it. It's going to be legal in our Unlimited series until we go ahead and ban that card. So it's going to be very interesting to see if Tearlament now minus 4 very powerful cards in its deck, if it's going to be able to compete with some of the, I guess you could say, quote-unquote win, you know, automatically boss monster stuff like VFD, or say like a Drytron setup where they have Herald plus Vanities, or, you know, the Adamancipator, you know, just build a board of like 85 different negations, and then you also have protection with Block Dragon, and then you have the extra deck lock with the Buster Whelp and everything along those lines. So we'll be able to see if Tier Limits is able to compete with some of these decks, maybe if it's dropped down a little bit more, or maybe it's still just too powerful. Watch, I'll be very curious to see. Now, you might also see Maxi over here, and you're like, okay, why is this banned? Well, for one, it was by far the most played staple in everybody's deck. Go figure, it's Max C. But the other reason that I want to ban it is not necessarily for that reason. It's more that I want to have a different style of gameplay than what we normally see in Master Duel. Because in Master Duel, you have the Max C tax, where everybody's playing 3 Max C, 3 Ash to negate the Max C, 2 Called By to either negate the Max C that just resolved, or negate the Ash that's trying to negate your Max C. And then some people, you know, are also playing Crossout as like basically a third copy of Called by the Grave, and then they're also playing stuff like Ghost Bell to negate the Called Bys to make sure their Maxi still resolves. So I think that's really ridiculous. I think that opens up a lot of deck building if, you know, your deck doesn't particularly care about getting ashed or something, or you have a lot of extension. Maybe you just don't even bother playing Called By. You don't even play Crossout anymore. I would like to see what people start to venture out and play if they start playing, you know, stuff like Droll, or they do start playing stuff like Ghost Bell. If you do start playing things like Lancer, you know, you start opening up your deck slots a little bit more. Maybe you get a couple of extra extenders. Maybe you get a couple of extra back row in your trap decks. You know, it opens up just a couple of extra slots. And let's also be honest, it's never really fun seeing a Maxi game where someone just kind of has to completely pass if they feel like they can't push through or set up a board that is unbeatable. Like our VW player was saying that if they get Max Seed, they typically are just going to go for VFD if they can do it, because they should win if they get there. But at the same time, by the time you get to VFD, you might have gotten nibbed, you might have gotten, you know, ashed, impermed, veilered on your way there, and, you know, that just never feels good. So in this way, it'll make the games a little bit more interesting, I feel. For the second week, this is going to take place on the 27th. That is going to be a week from now on a Saturday. And that tournament has a $100 prize for first place and a $50 prize, I believe, for second place, if I'm remembering correctly what we put down in the Discord. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing everybody that's going to sign up for this one. Again, if you want to sign up, just join the Discord, which is linked down in the description down below, and DM me what you want to be playing. You know, your deck list, get a side deck ready in case you do make it to Top Cut, but we are still going to be doing best of 1 30-minute matches for Swiss, and then when you move to Top Cut, we'll do best of 3 with a side deck, just so I'm not here until 1 in the morning, because we used to do best of 3 during Swiss, but dude, I gotta go to bed at some time. I can't be up at like midnight, 1 and 2 in the morning running Master Duel all night, dude. I gotta start doing other stuff. But again, congratulations to Zernatori, who won with Ishizu tier for week 1, and then I'm looking forward to seeing what's gonna happen for week 2. And yeah, with all that being said, I think that covers just about everything, the reasoning for everything that we have everything banned. But yeah, with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video, whether it's a ban list update or whatever I'm going to be playing for Theme Chronicle, or the next week for, what is it called? Regression Cup. Sorry, I'm super exhausted, but Regression Cup. I'll catch you guys in the next video for that. Whatever. Peace. Late, guys.